even pre-buffs in NA as well. By Wiggly had a great game on it there. But we have been seeing a lot of other junglers coming out, in lieu of that Silas. We've been seeing tons of J4. We've been seeing, Rek'Sai popping up a couple times yesterday as well. So it does feel like, despite the expected power of that Silas on 913, a lot of players are still kind of going back to comfort.
Well, we're going to see Team Liquid go for another Enchanter ban there. The Sona banned out. FlyQuest won't be able to play it, and happily for DoubleLift, neither will he. That one's not on the table this time around. Despite the cheers from the audience, FlyQuest will not first pick the Riven. Instead, they're going to go towards the bottom lane, grab the Xayah nice and early. Back over to Team Liquid. Their first pick will be the Jarvan there for the jungle.
I mean, DoubleLift is so vocal about not wanting to play Sona that it's making me wonder, what if he's secretly a Sona lover,
You think this is actually some reverse psychology from DoubleLift? Like, oh man, I really hate Sona. Don't make me play Sona, guys. Well, we're going to see one of the other potential mages that can go into the bot lane hovered here by the side of Team Liquid. Remember, Lux can also still be played as a mid laner here too, so we'll have to see where that flex pick goes, but that one's locked in for TL.
Yeah, very likely will be played bot. We have seen, some Lux mid, yes, but usually only use kind of in specific matchups. People do like it into Zoe quite a lot, so you can pick it early as a support, and then if they were to go one of those preferential matchups in the mid lane, then you flex it over there. But generally speaking, should be down in that bot lane will be Xayah Rakan coming out here for FlyQuest, which is going to mean Aftershock Lux almost guaranteed to come out here from CoreJJ, and he'll have to be on point with his bindings. You need to make sure that you land the binding as Rakan engages on you so that you have the Aftershock during that CC to be able to survive.
Exactly. So important that it goes off before the combo damage lands. Otherwise, Xayah will cut you to pieces with those feathers. FlyQuest going to go ahead, leave both solo lanes still for the second half of the draft. They've got the Lovers Duo bottom lane, and they're picking up Rek'Sai for Santorin.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if there's going to be full parity. Will they grab DoubleLift's bot lane choice here right now, or are they going to grab something along the lines of a solo laner? But it will be the Caitlyn, so push and siege is the game. This is something that CLG did against TL and got a win with it earlier in the split. It's something that I think is a fairly underutilized strategy. People have been going for some of the lane dominant lanes, but very rarely looking to kind of push and siege as heavily as this type of composition can. When CLG did run it, we also saw it paired up alongside the Victor using the gravity field as well as losing singularity and traps to kind of create these zones of control around the turret. And we're seeing a lot of power from that sort of strategies. Even Cloud9 bringing out Veigar, which can work really well with the cage, and kind of a similar type of strategy.
I mean, when Caitlyn's not in the meta, when the champion isn't played on a weekly basis, sometimes you forget what it's like to have the oppressive nature of those traps, especially around neutral objectives and around turrets. It makes it so much more difficult to properly mount a defense or an attack against a Team Liquid that managed to set up first.
Yeah, exactly, especially if you're not going to draft a pure tank, and we haven't been seeing a lot of those in the meta these days. So, it's not even like you walk forward to your six-sided Maokai and he just eats the trap or whatever, right? Like, you don't really have the option to do that with most of the champions in the meta these days. Aurelia the final ban there, so no Camille, no Aurelia. Even more focus going up towards that top lane here for Impact. 3 bans towards him thus far. Would be interesting to see where he does actually go to. Kennen is still available, and I think if Kennen is not banned out here, that seems like a pretty logical blind pick. That is kind of a bit of an obvious one to me. But that being said, that does make you wonder, is FlyQuest trying to push you towards that pick? If it starts to feel a little bit too obvious, you're like, well, do they want me to pick that? Do they have a counter? But I am kind of expecting Kennen and then probably just leaving Jensen's pick for last, unless they want to mix things up a little bit more.
Qiyana's banned away. That'll be the 5th and final ban from FlyQuest here in this draft. We got to see Qiyana once yesterday, played by
Neeko,
Clutch Gaming, going up against TSM, but we'll not see it again here in this first game today. Neeko locked in for TL. Remember, this can also be a flex pick, but we'll see how that goes.
Very likely will be top, though. I think it is another good, safe blind pick type of option here for Impact. You can go, on hit, the more AD style build. You can also go full AP, dependent upon the matchup. Kennen coming through here for Viper, so should be Neeko into Kennen. And if that is the matchup, I think that's actually pretty good for Impact. You can just go AP, play for that sort of style. You're not going to be getting poked down and harassed as much as Kennen can into a lot of the melee matchups. And Azir as that pick. Corki is available. We may just be getting kind of the stock standard matchup that we seem to see so much these days. And that will be the choice here for TL. So very standard drafts, honestly, across the board. The only real kind of wrinkle here, I would say, is the Caitlyn. That is a little bit less typical. But, you know, TL setting themselves up with a lane dominant 2v2 here, looking to push in, attack those turrets, and they have a lot of scaling coming out of their mid laner. Kind of similar things on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, look at the top laners as well. As long as the Neeko goes for an AP build, both of them are going to be looking for those huge AoE flanks to really influence the team fights and swing the fight around that way. Mid game could be very explosive considering the range on both mid laners with that flanking potential from the top sides. And we always know bottom lane is going to be fun to watch when you've got DoubleLift and WildTurtle going up against each other.
Definitely the case, and TL, I think, playing to a lot of their strengths. Their bot lane 2v2 has been, I would say, the best in the league, and Xmithie is so good at protecting them, playing around that. I do think that that will be a pretty big point of contention. Anytime you're going up against the Rek'Sai, you want to be tracking that Rek'Sai, protecting your lanes from her, because Rek'Sai is such a powerful early game jungler, and really, especially when paired up alongside something like the Rakan, who has that great engage, can be very dangerous.
Plenty of engage, plenty of ways to start the fight off on your terms. That's the name of the game here for FlyQuest. Looking to challenge up against Team Liquid, the only remaining first place team currently in the LCS.
Yeah, going to be looking to try to hold on to that here today. We've been going through most of this season with so many teams tied at the top of the table. Fans are ready for the game. We are loading in. And it is going to be that Glacial Augment Neeko. So it will be the Super Soaker Spooky Ghost. It will be the slow him down and AoE AP style coming out here from Neeko.
And when we look at the runes coming out from everyone else, it's pretty standard. Going to be Conqueror on the Jarvan as opposed to the Electrocute this time around. Makes him more threatening in extended fights, but not quite as much immediate punch on the ganks. Looking down at the supports, Aftershock on the Lux, as you predicted, pretty mandatory to survive the all-ins from Xayah and Rakan.
Yeah, exactly. In general rule of thumb there for Lux is if you're going against Poke, you take Guardian. If you're going against all-in, you take Aftershock. And that is, you know, mostly what people adhere to. Sometimes we have seen things like Airy or Comet if you think you can really slam lane, but probably won't be the case. And as for the Conqueror Jarvan, that usually just makes me expect it to be a full tank style. That's very funny. In fact, turns into the Lux.
Walk in as Lux, walk out as Caitlyn.
The bot lane swap top.
Oh, man. Somehow I feel like FlyQuest will not fall for this.
Yeah, especially because DoubleLift is, was on the map in front of...
Because their opponents are literally looking at the real version of the champions at the same time. But I do got to give credit over to Impact. He's trying to sell it as hard as he can.
Yeah, now DoubleLift just needs to TP top lane and really lane swap.
That's the true
They'll
bamboozle.
never expect
Make
it.
them think that it was all a joke, when in reality, the joke was serious. Team Liquid will be starting off on their red buff here in the top side. You're going to see Santorin doing the same thing for FlyQuest, but Santorin getting no leash from his bottom lane means that Team Liquid will not have the information as to where he's starting here on this path.
Yep, very important stuff there. And this is really just all about getting the early shove here from both lanes. DoubleLift and CoreJJ want to start in lane so that they can have lane priority, get the early push, and look for that harassment. And gonna get a decent amount there, but I think Wadid was actually really intelligent to start shield. So he does actually just level up the battle dance there. And as a result, having Guardian and his battle dance double shield, he actually stopped almost all that poke. So that's pretty much saving more health than you could have even got back from a potion potentially.
And it's a great tech choice. Going up against something like Caitlyn and Lux, you know that you're going to be on the defensive most of the time in this lane. The range advantage is just too big for you to really go all in like that or really try to threaten at level 1.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's just one of those situations where you can go to lane and just hold on to your skill point, right? Great. Turtle got hit by binding, level up the shield. If he doesn't, you see an opportunity for the Q, level that up, throw it out. So I think small thing, but pretty intelligent there. And DoubleLift and CoreJJ will be on the push here nonstop. But Santorin already level 3. And he's going to be coming right over the wall on DoubleLift. I don't think he'd be expecting this. They have a River Ward, but Xmithie is here as well.
Santorin going to start things off. DoubleLift taking some damage, but FlyQuest are now going to back themselves away as Xmithie shows up. The flash expended by both junglers here, as well as DoubleLift.
I mean, that was actually so good for FlyQuest, though. That's 2 summoners off CoreJJ, flash off DoubleLift. Xmithie actually looked for the flash, for the flag and drag flash onto Santorin. So, they got 4 summoners for 1. That is an incredible trade. And that is just some really good pathing from Santorin, getting that super fast level 3 straight down to bot. And I don't think that they were expecting Rek'Sai to be able to be 3 that fast and get down to the bottom lane. So Oh, he cleansed too early.
That's such a deadly CC combo. The binding into the trap. The trap will arm in time. Once the binding dissipates, the chain CC is there.
Yeah.
So is the follow-up coming around? Will Xmithie get there in time? Wadid backs himself away, but now WildTurtle is exposed underneath the turret. And first blood goes to CoreJJ.
CoreJJ just can't miss. He's hitting binding after binding here on the Lux. They get the first blood and a turret plate. Santorin up to the top side, though. They're going to look for Impact. Impact has his flash, so you should just be able to walk this one out. You know Santorin does not have his flash, so
Yep.
yeah, is going to be able to get out of there no problem. But still, good pathing here from Santorin, who has resulted in a lot of summoners being down. Here, this is one more time. So trap gets dropped on one side. That was actually so intelligent. So DoubleLift drops the trap on one side of the map. That means Wadid has to walk all the way around the other side, and that is exactly where CoreJJ throws that binding. He cleanses, but the trap is already arming from DoubleLift, so he cleanses right into the trap, takes even more damage. And then Xmithie here, walking up behind CoreJJ, nails the binding. Aftershock proc, has shield on himself to tank that up, no problem.
Beautifully coordinated by all members of Team Liquid involved there. Awards them with the first blood, puts them up to 1,000 gold lead here very early on. And that gold lead is strictly being built in the bottom lane. CS, all the other lanes, it's even. But when you look at bottom side, DoubleLift's the one building that advantage. Impact, finding some damage onto Viper here. He's taken down to 200 HP, but with Xmithie nearby, Viper has to be really respectful of what Team Liquid could do.
Yeah, they just want to push this out. Xmithie's just going to show up and help him push this in, but you know, the CS advantage is very concerning on that bot side. It's 39-18 right now here for DoubleLift over WildTurtle, and the fact that Turtle died under his turret meant he missed some more of that farm. You know, CoreJJ and DoubleLift have just been playing this lane very, very well, and I think it's so impressive to see these little things like how they corral Wadid into that binding, you know, utilizing the traps, utilizing the kind of little area around that turret to make it very difficult for their opponents. And you know, this can be a pretty oppressive lane if they do get ahead, and oh, that was close.
It's also fun to watch essentially the opposite of what the Sonateric philosophy was, which was, you know, concede the entirety of the early game, wait to scale up later, while this is just, no, we're going to smash the early lane, take complete control over the bottom side of the map, and I want to see what that turns into for Team Liquid as we move forward as well. The first Drake is infernal. If you have uncontested bottom side control, that could be a big reward here early on.
Yeah, it certainly could, and that's one of the kind of questions that a lot of people had about, you know, why are you playing things like the Sona so much? You know, even though it is very powerful. You know, we saw DoubleLift on the Xayah yesterday, absolutely dominant performance. You know, you see performances like this, and a lot of people are kind of asking themselves, well, is it worth it? You know, even if Sona is very strong, to kind of sacrifice one of your greatest strengths as a duo, which is that laning phase. Yep. You know, these guys are so dominant in the laning phase that, you know, when you are playing the Sona, you're kind of ceding that and allowing yourself to fall quite a bit more behind. Turtle going to go back to base here, though, try to get a buy up for himself. But remember, he has no teleport available, so we'll have to make the walk back to lane. And that means DoubleLift and CoreJJ are going to kind of have the run of that lane and be able to either set it up for a freeze, deny some more CS, or try to push.
Always feels good to have that decision-making power in your own pocket here for the Team Liquid bottom side. Xmithie will keep farming up on these jungle camps, very close to the level 6. Shouldn't get it after just the chickens, but considering the red buff is up and ready to go, he'll pick that one up and have the Cataclysm armed and ready. Santorin getting close to the level 6 on Rek'Sai here as well. Means these ganks are going to be extra deadly, have some more punch wherever they decide to invest. Flash still down for impact in the top lane for a little over another minute, about probably 130 left to go on that one, and we'll see if a return gank can happen in time by Santorin.
Also worth pointing out, Xmithie actually never checked that brush by the red, so the pink spotted him. He never cleared it out, so they have full knowledge of where he's going to be. They see that he's pathing up towards top side. Santorin can go up there and match, and they are going to be able to have the advantage in this potential 2v2 if that does happen. You know, given that Viper has the flash, you know, you have that extra kind of outplay ability here. But it is Xmithie just heading back to base, sitting around for a potential counter gank. But we do not know, you know, if Santorin was in that brush. You know, Impact doesn't have that knowledge.
I love the game of chicken you see kind of being played with the junglers mentally of who's going to be the one to commit to the gank first. They both want to be the counter ganker.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody goes in.
It's often so much more powerful to actually be the one who arrives, you know, second, who starts that second.
Of course.
Simply because you kind of have the better target selection. If they flash in, then you can, you know, be able to land all your CC right on them, and they don't really have the ability to actually outplay that anymore.
I think a lot of it also comes from the idea of when you're trying to set up a gank for your jungler, you just tell the laner, okay, act stupid. Go in, take a bad trade. Right, yeah. Lose 400 health for no reason, make him think that he's got this, and then if all of a sudden the numbers are fair, you lost 400 health for no reason, you don't have this.
Yep.
Turns bad pretty quickly. DoubleLift and CoreJJ to continue controlling this bottom side of the map. You can see Xmithie having a control ward in the pit. We'll be aware of the status of that Infernal Drake as time moves forward. We'll be Cinder Hulk here on the Jarvan. Pretty par for the course these days. Don't see too much of the Warrior anymore. Just means he's going to be that much bigger of a front line here from the side of TL, considering he really is the only frontline champion on the Liquid squad.
Yeah, I tend to like the Cinder Hulk build quite a lot. It is very consistent, especially as you're saying, because we're not really getting a lot of frontliners these days in the meta. One of the things that is kind of, a nice adaptation with it is you can always go into a Black Labor second if you are having a good game. If you pick up a number of kills, if you're really popping off, you can still build some damage, kind of as that secondary option.
Right.
And you can kind of take that as another route. Or you can just continually go full tank, and that's kind of what we saw all yesterday. Randuin's coming out and things like that. J4 can be fairly effective in that way.
CoreJJ is going to be seen there through the fog of war. Throws out a little bit of damage. Not going to find anything with that one, but Team Liquid want to see if maybe there's still a play to be made here. Xmithie hanging around. Summoner spell's up and ready to go. DoubleLift will take out these last couple of minions, get things ready to go here. Control wards from both sides in the brush. Looks like Team Liquid doesn't want to overcommit to anything here. Instead, they're just saying, hey, we've got the range. Let's just get some plate money.
Yeah, if you don't actually get a binding or something, I think the dive would be way too risky. This is level 6 Turtle. He has his Flash. Flash and Cleanse are both available for Wadid. So, Xmithie is kind of, I think, just more trying to anticipate where Santorin is going to be rather than making a proactive play. That's why he walked up to top lane and recalls behind Impact, being there in case there's a gank. Then his bot lane, he's saying, okay, well, this is a pretty juicy target. You have Rakan is almost 6, and my duo lane is shoving up nonstop into your turret. Maybe you're going to come here and gank. So he comes in, he sits down and Tri-Brush, and he is really just trying to spend his time anticipating where his opponent is going to be. And as a result, giving the safety to DoubleLift and CoreJJ to work away on that turret.
We'll see here as Team Liquid comes down with the package to make yet another move. Now with a 4-man dive, you might be able to just hard force this one, regardless of if a binding connects. Instead, they will place the flag on the ground, give the attack speed bonus. Jensen says, okay, see you later. I'm not even needed for this. 2 more auto attacks should do it. Make it 3, and that is first turret to Team Liquid.
Yeah, and that is honestly just great play. Utilizing the package, they're taking the guaranteed plays. Xmithie constantly shadowing that bottom lane, making it so they feel safe to actually be able to aggressively push up and go for that. And as a result, DoubleLift is up like 1,400 gold in just over his opposing AD. That is an enormous advantage this early on for that Caitlyn. He is going to have, a really, really good buy here. Already has the full first IE, and now the Caitlyn is unlocked and he can start to just move around the map. And look to actually knock down turrets. He's actually just going to TP straight top, and they're going to try to challenge for this Rift Tail potentially.
Plus, this is a matchup of traditional marksmen going for those crit items, right? It's not like WildTurtle has an earlier breakpoint if he was on something like a Lucian just needing to hit 2 instead of 3. WildTurtle will be behind compared to DoubleLift for the foreseeable future unless he gets a real pop-off moment in one of these fights. But Liquid is doing a good job not overcommitting to anything, not putting themselves in a bad spot where they can be punished yet. In their game yesterday, we did see Team Liquid have one flub towards the mid to end game where they ended up going a little bit too far forward, giving some kills away over to CLG, but considering they were dominant for the entire rest of the game, it's pretty clear this is a team that knows how to make those smart decisions and not put themselves in a spot where you're giving your opponents too many wins.
Yep, definitely the case, and you can see, trying to play safe around the fact that there could be multiple members up on that top side. DoubleLift and CoreJJ, I think, are waiting until they get a little bit more vision before they do start to hard push, but one thing, if you're on parity, is that it's like generally Essence Reaver marksmen are more effective on one item than just the IE, right? The Xayah is going to be feeling better at that point than DoubleLift will on the Caitlyn, but he's so far ahead in the gold that you can now take this advantage that you have and just constantly be pushing nonstop, not actually looking for team fights until you have completed your Zeal item, until you've kind of like gotten through this weaker point of the game here for the Caitlyn. And now that Xmithie is up on the top side, we're going to see TL moving into that jungle, starting to get vision, and then the siege will begin in earnest once again.
See a comparison of the 80 carries on your screen here right now. DoubleLift with that BF Swords advantage worth of gold. You can also see the damage onto champions about quadrupling what WildTurtle has managed to do, as Team Liquid will commit 4 men into the Baron pit. We'll see if they can secure Shelly or if FlyQuest will move in and try to contest this one. Shelly's going to be taken low, taken down. Wadid going in, looking to find that quickness onto multiple targets. Impact zoning everybody away, and that's a pop blossom onto multiple people. Viper tries to retreat as Turtle's going to be taken down. It's Rift Herald +1 for TL.
Yeah, and that fight was not even close. Xmithie with such a good stopwatch on Wadid's engage there. They were only able to find that Rakan engage as a result onto CoreJJ, so all of the initial damage actually gets denied, and TL has FlyQuest funneling into them through that small choke point. They just knock them down, they get the Rift, they're gonna get another turret. This is, 4,000 plus gold lead at 14 minutes. That is absurd.
Everything is coming up TL here in this game. FlyQuest can't seem to find any sort of footing. We saw them go for the one play in bottom lane at the start. We saw Santorin try to get a gank in the top side. And yes, summoner spells were blown, but summoner spells have to be capitalized in later. Otherwise, Team Liquid's just going to keep getting ahead like this.
Yep, exactly. TL is here faster. And again, look at that stopwatch from Xmithie before the CC comes through. So there's no really good target for them now as DoubleLift backed off. CoreJJ had the Aftershock proc. You can see Jensen and DoubleLift on the outside of the fight constantly free firing. Impact was there, as I say, sooner because he had just roamed up, and TL had full control over the area, and now gonna grab an Infernal.
And look at the plate comparison. 1 to 10 is a 1,440 gold difference just from having enough pressure in those lanes to take all the plates down. FlyQuest only getting a single plate. That is a very ineffective early game, and TL will continue building their lead now, pressuring onto the mid lane tier 1. There's those Caitlyn traps we were talking about. You cannot cross this line if you are FlyQuest.
Yep, it does get very difficult, and TL have clear win conditions to how to close this one out. Impact, though, face checking.
Impact, he sends the clone in, but he follows right after, and that means he's taken out. Oh, very, very close to making it a 1-for-1. Xmithie going forward, trying to find the follow-up onto Santorin. Won't be able to do it. Jensen TPing in now as well, but Team Liquid's a little bit too late to the response there. However, Viper stays topside and is eliminated by the snipe.
Yeah, the TP coming in there does corral him from Jensen, and they will lose this turret mid as a result, so it's a good play from FlyQuest. They catch Impact, and TL spend so many resources trying to get up there and help Impact that they do end up opening up that turret. No vision up here for him. He doesn't actually wait for the clone to go in. He popped out the clone, but then he just kind of followed it through regardless. Does end up getting knocked down. And then it's this TP here. You can see the pings on. So now Viper cannot actually run out this way. So he's like, all right, well, time to just clear the wave. All you really get to choose is where you die at this point. He's trying to actually deny giving away even more assist gold, I do believe. But DoubleLift has ult range and is able to pick up the kill. But they do lose the mid lane turret, and it is a trade of 1-for-1 kills. So positive play for FlyQuest from behind. They're going to be feeling good about that one, but double Infernal is something they're going to be very, very sad about. And mid lane turret collapsing means it's going to be getting harder and harder for FlyQuest to find safe places to farm on the map.
And look at the inventory of CoreJJ. If there was ever a sign of a man confident in how he plays League of Legends, it is Magi's Soul Stealer, a death note for all the people you're sending back to the fountain so you can farm AP for free.
I just think it's so funny to buy one on 3 stacks. It's not even efficient at that point. It's like, this is
a statement purchase.
But I'm about to pop off.
A statement purchase. Getting it ready to go before the next team fight comes in. Jensen getting himself away with the package there. A lot of times, remember, we don't see big impacts from Corki packages early on in the game. Teams are pretty good about respecting when you hear that audio cue and you know, hey, package is up and available. We need to play defensive for the next 60 seconds or so. Jensen can't really find much of an opportunity with that, but you can see Team Liquid continually moving forward now with that outer lane of turrets, that outer line, of those FlyQuest turrets down. They're comfortable and confident pushing up.
Yeah, and as a result, they can farm away the jungle at the same time. They can start to kind of take away access to these camps from Santorin, and that can start to show itself in an additional gold lead. Moving down here to this bottom side, DoubleLift, easy range with this Caitlyn to be knocking away on that turret. But FlyQuest have 5 members down here. They may want to try to fight.
FlyQuest trying to defend what they can, but what they can is nothing. Red buff taken away there by Xmithie as DoubleLift continues laying down the traps next to the turret. Especially just that little pathway between the wall and the turret there that normally provides you a different opportunity to maybe start a fight or go about navigating things. CoreJJ flashing away there. You can see Wadid wanting to go for the punish onto the Medjais, but instead only gets the summoner spell. We'll see if FlyQuest can punish this one. Wadid not having his own flash up there, just now got it back.
Yeah, so we'll have flash ultimate next time around, and certainly could make for an easy kill onto CoreJJ come the next team fight. There's not even many stacks to knock off him, though. He has 3.
It's about sending a message, Azael. You bought that damn book.
A lot
now
of
you're going to learn
messages.
why you shouldn't do that.
All right, well, we'll see who sends the last message.
All right, yeah, we're going to see who's really the one who knocks on the support lane as Team Liquid will continue commanding this lead. 4K still, 19 minutes into the game, feeling good here. 2 Infernal Drakes, with the next one being the Mountain. And honestly, 2 Infernals and Mountain at the 20-minute mark is a recipe for a very early Baron.
Yeah, it definitely is. And with this huge gold lead that DoubleLift has acquired, he now has the rapid fire, which just makes sieging even easier. You can just get pot shots on the turret. Every time your rapid fire proc is up, your range is so huge. You step forward, you get that one shot off on the turret, and you're gonna be feeling very safe to look for that. But FlyQuest is around here.
Pobelter goes in to make the play. CoreJJ is gonna be shuffled back. It's a 1-for-1. The Ignite will take down POB, but DoubleLift's gonna be picked up now by Viper. FlyQuest have a 2-1.
FlyQuest with a great engage there in the mid lane. They just group up and look for the pick on DoubleLift and CoreJJ. They are able to take him down, and now going to be looking for this dragon.
At what cost could it be? Xmithie going forward. Viper's in some trouble here, has to flash away, no ulti available, and Team Liquid in a 3 versus 4 will hold FlyQuest off and prevent the take of the Drake.
Yep, we'll be able to push them back there because FlyQuest expended a lot of cooldowns for this. So here this is one more time. Pobelter looking for DoubleLift, has all these members behind him. DoubleLift did see Turtle on the ward there, so he should have known that maybe more people were coming. It was a nice 90 caliber net to actually get out of there. The Ignite was dropped from CoreJJ before he goes down, so helps to grab that kill, but then Viper flying in on top of DoubleLift does knock him down. But it will be TL grabbing the dragon regardless, and going to be feeling pretty good about their position.
And a subtle thing about that made it even better for Team Liquid, despite the fact that it looked like CoreJJ's Ignite was what killed the opponent in Pobelter there, it was DoubleLift's tick of red buff that got the last hit, putting the money in his pocket, meaning it's right where Team Liquid wants it. A couple more auto attacks onto this tier 2 will finish it off. Jensen says everybody else is running away, but I'm not leaving this one here any longer. He'll take that out, as Team Liquid goes up to 4 turrets to 1 compared to FlyQuest. Turtle will see what he can do about that here in the top side. Should have enough time here to put some more auto attacks into this one. Team Liquid having just regrouped means most of their members are still just now working their way out of the base. You can see one of those Jarvans, which happens to actually be Impact, heading up towards the top side now. Oh wait, never mind, that's the actual Jarvan.
Or is it?
Clone Jarvan was back. It's hard to keep all these Jarvans.
Yeah. I thought you were about to tell me the subtle thing about the fight was that FlyQuest took 1 stack off of CoreJJ's Medjais.
No, that's not very
He's
subtle.
down to 2. He'll never be able to come back from here.
It's a slow process, all right? They're dealing with this book 1 page at a time.
Just erase the 1 word in the book.
Yeah, exactly. Just tear 1 page out at the very end. The part that says, "To my dear Lux," now we're tearing that out first. The dedication's no longer here. As the mid lane Sundisk is taken down, Pobelter just buying a little bit of extra time for FlyQuest there with that. You can see Nashor's Tooth done on this. Azir has double spell penetration too, so that's how they are able to find this damage if he can go in and get those big shuffles, but so much of that is dependent on the flashes, and that's still down from the 2.5.
So you can look over here at the Baron Pit. This whole area just littered with FlyQuest wards. You know, they are really worried about a potential Baron take here from TL. Given that they have the Mountain, they have the lead, they have double Infernal, they could knock that down very quickly. And FlyQuest knows you can come back from this sort of a deficit, but if you give up the Baron at this sort of deficit versus Siege comp, the game is probably over. Yep. So that is why there has been such an emphasis on vision on this side of the map. FlyQuest has accepted, all right, maybe you're going to take away our red buffs, maybe we're going to lose some things on the bottom side, but we will know if you go for the Baron, and that is where we will make our stand. And I think that, you know, is an intelligent choice because, you know, if TL starts just trading farm back and forth, they may get impatient, they may start up the Baron, and FlyQuest has enough AoE and hard engage that you can punish a team even from behind if you get that right engage.
Team Liquid waiting to have the split push situation set up properly before they try to bait their opponents into anything around the pit, however, as Jensen will keep shoving up the top wave. Impact doing his work there on the bottom side of the map. TP up and ready to go for both solo laners on the side of TL. Viper not having his right now, but Team Liquid will make the call to begin the Baron.
Yep, and they cleared out all that vision first. It was actually spotted by a blue trinket, but that's the only one that FlyQuest does have. So TL sitting in this area, they're going to send DoubleLift to mid to just continually push this up and try to force responses there. No one is actually answering the split push here from Neeko right now, so someone is eventually going to have to go down to that bottom lane. And if someone shows down there, it could trigger TL to try to threaten that Baron once more.
Pobelter's the one sent down because, again, he has the teleport. Viper needs to stay with the team for now to make sure that they have that slicing maelstrom should a 5v5 break out. But he'll do what he can to clear these waves away from the mid lane tier 2. But there comes that rapid fire from DoubleLift, moving up again, laying down the trap line in between auto attacks, keeping FlyQuest back and picking up yet another objective for TL.
Yep, pretty easy to do there as he just gets a shield from the Lux, steps up, able to tank up a couple turret shots and just knock that down. Top lane tier 2 getting very low, the last of those standing outer towers here for FlyQuest. And TL now 5-man strong because DoubleLift has joined up here with Impact and the rest of the squad. They can just walk into the jungle, clear out that deep vision, and now it's starting to look like a pretty dark and scary place here for FlyQuest. They do have a couple wards in the river, but those are pretty far out, and Wadid could be caught.
There goes Xmithie, starting things off here. Wadid getting himself away, has to pop the flash to do it. That's a big initiation tool down for FlyQuest.
And now TL can just start. They can actually just start the Baron here, leave Impact behind to kind of dissuade them from coming in. And if they hard engage through this area, you have to walk through the traps. It becomes difficult. So they have to use the blast cone and find some creative way to enter. Viper is behind them, though.
Thrown right onto a trap as soon as he goes into the blast cone, and now Team Liquid going to be making their defense right here. Xmithie leading the charge as Pobelter's able to find a shuffle, but he stands alone. DoubleLift is taken low. He will fall to Santorin, but FlyQuest is ace, and it's a quadra kill for Jensen.
The quadra for Jensen, 5 for 2, and the Baron TL have all but closed the game with that one. You have to think 8,000 gold ahead now. This Corki's going to be monstrously strong. They will knock out this outer tower immediately to start this Baron power play.
Those traps were set up exactly as they needed to be. Turtle tragically taking the blast cone, but still landing on the trap. Means FlyQuest just have no way to make that fight go their way.
Yeah, I mean, Wadid had already been forced to flash defensively to get out. He doesn't even have his ultimate available, as you can see. And the blast cone right into the trap. You hate to see it happen if you're FlyQuest. Viper did have a great engage on the back, but it's kind of unfortunate because there was lots of good individual pieces for FlyQuest. The shuffle was great, but everything was not at the same time, right? You would want the Viper ultimate at the same time as Pobelter's going in for the sweep, at the same time as the ultimate is coming out there from WildTurtle. And then maybe they could have actually had something happening, but TL was spread very well. And those windows did not kind of open up until FlyQuest had really already lost the fight.
FlyQuest are now in a really dangerous position because 8,000 gold, 4 Drakes, another 2 minutes of Baron. Everything in the kitchen sink is on Team Liquid's side, and they've got all the tier 2 turrets already down. The base itself is the next objective.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is more than dangerous. I think this is essentially checkmated. You just walk up with the Caitlyn and you start sieging with the Baron buff. I think it becomes incredibly hard to deal with. They do need a Baron buff on this wave, though, so CoreJJ will show up. They're going to have Corki splitting in the mid lane, and we'll see if FlyQuest can make something happen, but they're just so much stronger. One auto and the ultimate sends Pobelter back to base, and the next wave is already here. Corki's already sieging mid. You can't defend this.
Not with that Caitlyn doing what she does best. A TP coming in from Viper. He wants to work his way behind Team Liquid. He's got to go the long way around. Yes, he's got the flash, but TL are still sitting pretty comfortably. Impact going to be walking back first. He'll see Viper. Viper's found out before he's able to make the flank. There's no stopwatch. There's no hope. There's no way out. Pobelter's going to go down too. Impact moves forward, but he won't find much even with the flash. He doesn't even need to, though. Team Liquid 5v3 on the victory march.
Yeah, they're going to close this one out. Nothing left here for FlyQuest. They're going to try a Miracle Engage.
Wadid goes in, quickly forced right back out. WildTurtle looks to make a play, but him and Santorin both going to be bursted down. DoubleLift responsible for the kills, as TL will pad their stats with the last couple of minions, put the auto attacks into the Nexus, and claim their win against FlyQuest.
And a very clean win here for TL. Remaining alone at the top of the standings. Gonna be feeling pretty damn good about that one. The bot lane made such a huge difference in this game. This Caitlyn Lux got so far ahead, utilizing jungle pressure from their Jarvan, utilizing a roam from Jensen as well to get that first early turret, and they just continue to keep up the pace of the game. Corki splitting on one side, Lux and Caitlyn sieging on another side, and constantly just knocking down turrets, and really, they cleanly closed out this game.
And it looks exactly like what the gold graph would tell you if you look at it, because it never goes in FlyQuest's favor at all. It's just Team Liquid start to finish, and it's more and more of Team Liquid as time goes on. You never even see that moment where you're like, oh, well, that was kind of a throw, but they're still okay. Team Liquid never made those errors. They never gave their opponents those windows, and that's what you want to see from this team. I mean, this is the last day in week 6. That means we've got 3 weeks of regular play left, and then we're on to the playoffs. It's time to start looking like you're in playoff shape. That's a playoff team.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's a back-to-back-to-back championship team. I would wager.
We might be going for back-to-back-to-back-to-back. We're about to have a whole bunch of backs ready to go here for the side of Team Liquid, who are honestly just showing up time and again. They were our one team that showed up at Rift Rivals. They were the ones who found more wins than everybody else. They're the team now showing up here again, making things happen, looking better and better as they get into that playoff shape. Yesterday, they took down CLG, the other team that was tied for first. Today, FlyQuest, they're rising up. They're feeling good. We're coming up from the bottom. Now your movie ends here. Cut the montage short. Team Liquid doing what Team Liquid does. And for more on their win, let's send it over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers.
We need to know.
Are we going to acknowledge?
You want to tell us about that flower on that desk over there? Well, I'm a little confused.
It looked like a fake flower, too.
We know you're Captain Flowers,
yeah.
but like, why
pretty
this
pretty.
game?
Oh, it was a gift from a fan. I just received word. That makes a heck of a lot more sense. I was like, is this some kind of weird symbolism that we're going to have to figure out throughout the day? Hugely dominant game out of Team Liquid there. You talk about Team Liquid ramping towards the playoffs and looking towards international aspirations, surging, if you will. This was a game that will do a lot to service that argument that they are surging now, because it was honestly a smash.
I mean, this is the kind of draft where you go, oh, this is the exact opposite lesson you're supposed to learn from Rift Rivals, but it's such the perfect Team Liquid draft. I don't care. It's lane dominance in the bot lane. You're playing probably the strongest pushing lane in the meta with just the best bot lane in the league. You have control in the top side with the Neeko, which can play weak side. You have a Corki farming in the mid lane, and then you just focus on bot lane and around your MVPs in the bot side.
Oh, it was so rough to be Wadid and FlyTurtle here when you have to deal with a package on top of everything. It's another AD carry coming down and hammering away at your tower, and then the swap to the top lane, and guess what? They're gonna continue to push the lane because that's what Caitlyn Lux does.
And Double is such a good Caitlyn player. I was just waiting for them to play this bot lane once I saw CLG kind of break it out, a month and a half ago, and they finally started playing. It's perfect for them.
There was a time where DoubleLift was a one-trick Caitlyn.
Yeah.
It was like, you need to ban Caitlyn or else CLG is gonna have a win, and so he is still great on it.
Second game on Caitlyn this split for DoubleLift. A huge performance. Took one gank from Xmithie, as we saw, to kind of set the wheels in motion. An early first turret in the bot lane gave them the time to make that swap to the top side before 14 minutes, even secure a Rift Herald and a few more turret plates on the back end of that.
Yeah, and so this is a play that was really weird to me because FlyQuest knows that Team Liquid is playing around Lux and Caitlyn. They have complete vision, and if you look at where Santorin is, he's in the bottom side of the map. Why are you helping the Kennen? The Neeko isn't even in the lane, and she's in vision. So the fact that the jungler is down here prompts Team Liquid to say, you know what, why not just start the Rift Herald? When you've got Caitlyn and Lux, it's really easy for you to take a fight when people are coming into you, when you had the time to set up, because you've got your Lucent Singularities, you've got your traps to set up, and then the Corki has priority. So by the time that FlyQuest decides, oh, wait a minute, Team Liquid's going for a Rift Herald, they're already out of position. It's way too late, and the engage being late against this kind of composition is never going to work. Look at that. Wadid got 3 people CC'd, not a single member ready to follow up.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation where FlyQuest actually had better information heading into that play. They were the ones who saw Team Liquid running all over the wards. And so you can make the decision to say, screw it, sack it, let's go push bot lane or something. Or you could have been there even earlier and like Crumb is saying, ignore the Krugs. And Caitlyn Lux is a win condition on its own. It basically says we're going to sit in front of your turret, we're going to take turrets, we're going to take objectives, we're going to brute force these, and you need to stop us. Because if you don't, we're going to be up 4,000 gold with 3 dragons. And that's what happened.
Yeah, off of that play, they go top lane with the Rift Herald. It says 9 turret plates there because DoubleLift was only a part of 9 turret plates. TL did pick up 10 in total, just for clarity's sake. But massive gold lead for him on the Caitlyn, massive CSD for the whole team.
And I know the meta is not bot lane focused right now, but when you pick Caitlyn Lux, it becomes a bot lane focused game. And when you were playing those games, at least when I was playing those games, you were at a point where the second the role swaps happen and that the bottom lanes go top, junglers need to be there 24/7. Nowhere else to go, because the advantages are way too massive that the team can get without a jungler. If you got a 3v2 there, Jarvan, they can tower dive you, they can zone you off, they can do so much. And it looks in a very commanding fashion that Team Liquid never really faltered. Past 10 minutes, it all started going their way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way that you beat these kinds of like aggressive setup siege comps is you need to be there first.
Anticipate it, yeah.
Yeah, you need to be there first, and you need a really explosive team fight with something like a flanking Kennen or, you know, a Rek'Sai who's already unburrowing on top of people.
So they had the tools.
They had the tools.
The tools are beautiful. Like, I love his point about the Rek'Sai being there. Imagine now you anticipate Team Liquid going for that play. You leave a Rek'Sai behind, a Rek'Sai tunnel for Kennen to teleport to. Suddenly, you collapse right away. Oh my God, they took us apart before we even started the Rift Herald.
Right.
That's the kind of proactivity that you need when you're dealing with these kinds of setups that are so telegraphed. So because it's telegraphed, it gives you the opportunity to anticipate it.
If everyone were in position to follow up on that 3-man Rakan ult that Wadid did pull off, then hey, maybe things work out differently for FlyQuest. That was obviously not the case for Team Liquid. It's good to see them, you know, indexing into these things that, you know, while they, yes, might not be the flashiest or most interesting or G2-esque compositions, they are exactly what TL should be refining when looking towards making an impact on the world stage.
Yeah, find a way to empower DoubleLift and CoreJJ, probably the 2 most important members on your team, so that they can go win games, play around them. You know, you have a number of champions that you can pick sort of scaling in the mid lane. You can go for more proactivity even if you want to. And then you have GP, Neeko, any kind of weak side top laner for impact. And it's a very telegraphed play style like we're saying, but it puts a huge barrier of execution on the enemy team to be there to anticipate and win those fights.
It says punish it or we're gonna win.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, our #1 team in the league just got another game in the win column to move to 9-3 at the end of week 6. When we return, Cloud9 and TSM load onto the Rift. If you want to see how the match plays out from Broken Blade or Kumo's point of view,